Welcome you all to Srimata IAS Academy. Today we are here to start with the basics of Indian polity from class 9. The first question is, what is democracy? So India is a democratic country. When I say a democratic country, the common factor that distinguishes other forms of government from a democracy is the representatives are chosen by the people. Representatives are chosen by the people. However, this definition does not fit in the broader definition of democracy. When I say broader definition of democracy, there are many countries where people elect their representatives, but military rule is given foremost importance. A military head runs the government, and the elected representatives work under military head. So this happened in the case of Pakistan when General Musharraf usurped the power of legislature and established the military rule. That is not the exact definition of democracy, or we can say only one factor, that is if we choose representatives, that factor doesn't imbibe the complete definition of democracy, right? So this is the point number 3 of this slide. This definition is not adequate, and if we use it in an unthinking manner, we would end up call every almost every government that holds an election a democracy. So mere choosing of representatives does not suffice a government to be called a democracy. It is just one of the factors, not the only factor. And one of the famous definitions of democracy was given by one of by the ex president of the United States of America, Abraham Lincoln. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It's just for understanding purpose, not important. So this is the definition of democracy. Simple definition, not a broader meaning. It is a simple definition of democracy. Now let us look at the other features of democracy which collectively make a system democratic. Okay. So the first feature is major decisions are taken by elected leaders. Major decisions, elected leaders, and they will be having the final say. When we take, when we elect our representatives, they are the ones who take the major decisions, not any army general or the people whom these elected leaders choose. So in case of India, it is the Prime Minister of India who will be taking the final decisions, and our president is the mere head of the state, and he don't have much power as compared to the Prime Minister. We will look about this in the upcoming chapters, but as of now, remember, major decisions will be taken by elected leaders, and they will be having the final say. No one apart from our representatives will have the authority over this decision. The next feature which makes a country democratic is free and fair electoral competition. When I say free and fair electoral competition, this will be inadequate. This definition is inadequate because when I say free and fair electoral competition, there is a term electoral competition. When two candidates are contesting an election, both will be having a burning desire to win the election. For that reason, they resort to they resort to various luring techniques. They lure the public to gain the votes, and once they get the sufficient amount of votes, they will win the election. And once they win the election, they repeat this same in next election. Repeat the same in next election. This leads to autocracy. This leads to autocracy, not democracy. Autocracy or feudal politics. So in case of feudal politics, only few powerful people will be ruling the area. Others don't have the say in the decisions taken by. However, if the representative is a good person or honest person, we can call it a democracy. No matter how many times he gets elected from that area through the election, gets elected through the elections, we call it as democracy. So if he doesn't do any electoral scams like rigging or showing his muscle power using police or goons, that is called a democracy. Electoral competition is a incomplete sentence. When it gets completed, those who currently in power have a fair chance of losing. So if a person who has been elected once, a person gets elected once, works for people, he works for people, wins the election again. Election for n number of times by facing the election. So we have discussed it earlier. A person gets elected once, he works for the people, he wins the confidence of the people and wins the election for a number of times by the same process through which he has been elected for the first time, and he gets elected first time. That is called democracy. That is democracy. Okay, one more. Gets elected once, resorts to foul play, uses his clout to coerce people, loses election in the same manner. So a person is contesting election in a particular constituency. He lures the people of that constituency and he gets elected for the first time. Okay. At the end of his tenure, he resorts to foreplay. He starts he starts to threaten people. He starts to rig the elections. He starts to spend money like water. He uses his power, muscle power to threaten people. He loses the election in the same manner in which he got elected for the first time. So this is the actual one of the features of democracy. If I am contesting election and I work, I will get elected for n number of times by contesting the election. This is democracy. If I win election, I resort to foul play in elections. I lose the election and lose the power. This is also democracy, right? So this is the second feature of democracy, wherein just a minute. This is second feature of democracy, wherein person losing the confidence of people will lose the power. So this definition gets completed when, along with free and fair elections, a person will should have a fair chance of losing if he doesn't work or fail to read the pulse of the public. And the third feature of democracy is one person, one vote. Okay, please make it one person, one vote. So in India, there is universal adult franchisee, wherein a person or an individual after completion of 18 years or once he attains 18 years will be eligible to cast his or her vote. So if you are individual who have attained the age of who have attained the age of 18, you will cast the vote to choose your representatives. So there is wait. One person, one vote. So the third statement is also incomplete. Incomplete because in many countries women were not given a right to cast their vote. In some countries, minorities, religious minorities, are not given the right to cast their vote. So when I say one person, one vote, it should include irrespective of their age, their gender, their caste, or their religion. They should get the right to vote once they attain the age of 18 years or as specified by the by that country. This is one person, one vote. And the fourth feature of democracy is government rules within limits set by the constitutional laws. Limits are set by the constitutional laws and citizens' rights. So here you can get a prelims question. Prelims question. What is constitutional government? Answer will be limited and government. So this question was asked in prelims 2021. So be in the know. So when I say government rules within the limits set by constitutional laws, that means the elected representatives won't have the discretion to rule on their will. No discretion according to their will. If something is unconstitutional, that will be void. That will be void. Void means that will be that won't be or that attracts a ban or amendment by the Supreme Court. So we will learn all these in upcoming chapters. And citizens' rights. Indian Constitution gives its citizens certain rights to live with dignity. Those are those are fundamental rights. Fundamental rights. So the elected representatives should not usurp the fundamental rights of an individual. So let us stick to this definition. Citizens' rights or fundamental rights. We will learn about fundamental rights in detail in upcoming chapters. So just remember, when we are in democracy, the government we choose will work under the limits of constitutional laws, and it should not use up the fundamental rights or citizens' rights. This is the fourth feature of democracy, and this makes one prelims question. Please note it down. So when we got to know the features of democracy. These are some of the features of democracy, not only features. These are some of the important features of democracy. So these collectively make a democracy. Not only this, not only this, not only this, or not only this. These collectively make a democracy. So when we got to know the salient features of democracy, there are some arguments in favor of or against the democracy. So no system is perfect. There are some flaws in every system, and democracy is one amongst that system. So let us now look at the arguments against the democracy. First one, uh, it may lead to political instability. Political instability. Here, I had said fair chance of losing the election. So once a representative gets elected, he works, and in next election, the mandate is against him. Mandate is against him. He had some works which were incomplete, and they will remain incomplete because a new person getting elected may not have the idea. So this will lead to political instability. Plus, if there is election to Lok Sabha, election to Lok Sabha, and no party gets the no party gets the clear mandate. Election to Lok Sabha, no party gets the clear mandate. In that case, there will be coalition government. When there is coalition government, there will be tussle between the members. This tussle will lead to fall of government. This fall will lead to instability, political instability. So there is no guarantee that the public votes in favor of a particular party in such a way that they will make the government. So this leads to political instability in the nation, hampering the political instability hampers the pace at which laws will be made. We will see how the laws will be made in upcoming units. Political competition and power play. Political competition means, say there are two individuals contesting the election. These two individuals are contesting the elections. Person one has the ability to spend 1000 rupees. He has the ability to spend 500 rupees. So the one who spends more money will win the election. He will win the election. Win the election. When the next election comes, he will be having 2000 rupees to spend, and somehow he manages to earn 3000 rupees, and he will win the election. This leads to political competition. There may be fights between the candidates and their supporters. fights between the candidates and supporters. So this will create an unrest in the society. This will create an unrest in society and power play. So power play, as I said in earlier slide about the feudal politics and autocratism, that will also emanate when there is political competition and power play. So the next point is too much consultations results in delays. In a democratic setup, there is hierarchy of hierarchy of officials. So from this, the file will be transferred to him from here to here, from here to here. So this continues. This continues. So if this person doesn't, he is not satisfied with the recommendation sent by him, he will again send it to him. He will send it to him. So again the process starts. This process is time consuming, and because of more consultations, it will hamper the pace at which a work has to be done. If a work has to be completed in 1 month, it may take 4 months. A lapse of 3 months is loss making. So that's how the consultation in democracy leads to delay in decision making. Democracy may lead to corruption, not will, it may lead to corruption. So the connection is here. I said candidate 1, candidate 2, election expenditure spends more, wins, resorts to corruption to win again. We opt a person who doesn't know, who does not know the pulse of the public. For example, public wants public wants roads, but a representative will be bring a power plant. There is conflict of interest. There is conflict of interest. So this leads to bad decisions. This is what the bad decision. A leader acts on his discretion without knowing what actually the demand of public is. So this is how bad decisions emanate in the democracy. So last argument against the democracy is ordinary people have no deciding authority. When we elect representatives, the representatives will formulate the decisions. So the decision may be in favor of public or maybe against the public, and ordinary people don't have any role in formulating these decisions. So this is the final argument that is against democracy. So when we know what are the arguments against the democracy, so let's read some arguments which are in favor of democracy. So pardon me, I have written it as against democracy. So it is favor of in favor of democracy. More accountability. So when a representative doesn't work on the aims and wishes of general public, aims and wishes of general public, he will lose the upcoming elections because public hold accountable public holds its representatives accountable for the decision. Improved decision making. When there are so many people involved in decision making, so many people involved in decision making, so they will discuss better, they will come out with the best solution. This will make the decision making better. When there is only and one person and there are only handful of his colleagues, he won't be making the decisions which can be called improved because of less consultation. So that's again in decision making we there will be many consultations, and the differences that forms the deadlock will be sorted out. This is one perspective. Another perspective is India is a multi religious, multilinguistic, multi-religious and multilinguistic country. There will be differences of opinion amongst its people, as everyone won't be having a same opinion. In that case, anarchy, when it is anarchy, people will fight with each other, claiming each other's lives. So this loss of life and trust may be reduced in democracy when dealing with the differences. I am not saying it will be eliminated, but it will be reduced, because two parties, party 1, party 2, will sit with each other and resolve the resolve the issue. So another argument which favors the democracy is enhances the dignity of citizens. So when I was saying constitutional laws and citizens' rights, constitutional laws and citizens' rights, constitutional laws and citizens' rights, I said representatives representatives cannot representatives cannot usurp on the rights of citizens, rights of citizens. So the decision taken by the representatives will be independent of the rights of the citizens. Everyone will be getting equal benefits of those decisions. So this is how dignity of citizens is upholded in upheld in the system of democracy. And the final argument that is in the favor of democracy is allows to correct its own mistakes. So when I said bad decisions, when I was talking about bad decisions, so there is a setup in democracy where one can correct its mistakes if the decision is against larger public interest, larger public interest. So agitate they can agitate agitate and make the decision in their favor. So that's how the mistakes are corrected when there is a setup of democratic system in the country. So these are some of the arguments that are in the favor of democracy. These are not only arguments. These are not only arguments, these are some of the arguments. Some of the arguments. So we got to know what are the arguments in favor of democracy and that are against the democracy. And we have defined democracy in a simple manner in the beginning slide. So let's now deep dive into the broader meaning of democracy. So all we can say is a system may be democratic, or non-democratic. System may be a democratic or non-democratic. So we saw some factors that quantifies a system to be called democracy. These are some of the salient features of democracy, but these are not the only features. These are not the only features. So holding a free and fair elections, universal adult franchises, those are some factors which makes a system democratic, and the absence of which makes a system non-democratic. Absence of which makes the system non-democratic. But through these factors, we cannot conclude that a system is good or bad democracy. So some factors collectively make a system democracy, but it doesn't quantify the statement of a democracy and a good democracy. So this is all about class 9 chapter 1 of salient features of democracy. The chapter reads what is democracy, why democracy. So these are some factors which we learned that makes a system democratic or non-democratic. If you have any doubts, kindly pin your answers. Thanks for watching and do subscribe Srimada IAS Academy. Thank you.